As the world becomes more digital, protecting your estate is becoming more digital too. Who will have access to your passwords, your online accounts, or pay off your outstanding debt? Keeping the family farm or any valuable asset in the family can be tricky, especially if the right steps aren't taken to protect your estate when you are no longer able to.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. I'm Christina Loren. Do you have a will? How about an estate plan? And do you know how to create one? Our friends from AARP are here, along with a special guest estate planning expert. Michael Wallen is back, and we are thrilled that you are with us tonight. We want to help you take that first step, if you haven't already, in creating a plan that will give you and your family peace of mind. If you've already created a plan, we want to help you improve that plan with our experts. They'll answer your questions. They'll share tips on how you can protect your hard-earned assets for generations to come. And you at home, you are a big part of this show. Our question of the month is, how are you planning to leave your assets to your loved ones? Have you made that plan yet? Let us know. Give us a call tonight. AARP also has a brand new giveaway this year. If you are a lucky caller, 5 lucky on-air callers tonight will win a new gift, and this one is fantastic. It is a tote, and we actually have it for you. Feast your eyes on this. It's incredibly high quality. You can keep items cool for long periods of time, and you can win this tonight. All you have to do is pick up the phone and join our conversation, and we want to hear from you tonight. Good luck to you. Hopefully, someone out there is going to be able to win that here in the next few minutes when we open up our phone lines. We're going to waste no time in taking your calls. 877-283-7570. You don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win. But as a reminder, you can only win one time each calendar year. We want to let those who are winners tonight know that AARP will call you back using the number that you called from. Now, it won't be tonight, but they will give you a call in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. If you're a past winner, have not received your cooler yet, be sure to return their call, and they're going to get that over to you. The best part is as well, no shipping costs, my friends. You don't have to worry about that. And new this year, if you aren't a lucky winner tonight, you can even enter again in AARP's Second Chance Sweepstakes. All you have to do is visit aarp.org/AARP Live, or if it's easier for you, grab your phone and scan that QR code on your screen. We're going to leave this up for a moment so that you can grab your phone and get that QR code. One carry-all tote will be given away each month, and the winner will be announced during next month's program. Rules do apply. Again, you can only win one time in a calendar year, and we're going to announce January's Second Chance winner a little bit later on in the show. Find out if you are the winner. Our phone lines are open. Give us a call, 877-283-7570. And join the conversation tonight. Joining me now, Sean Voskuil, AARP Oklahoma State Director, and our special guest, certified planner, Michael Wallen, a fan favorite, right. Both of you.
Good stuff.
We're stacking it up tonight. We've got a great panel for you.
Glad to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you back. And this is such an important topic to have. It's not one that people generally bring into everyday conversation, but it's one of those conversations you don't want to wait around to have, especially with your family. Estate planning and wills. Some might think these documents are only for the wealthy, but as we know, having an estate plan equals peace of mind. And I'm sure both of you gentlemen can agree with me on that.
And it's a great time of year to think about it. You're doing your taxes this time of year, so you're thinking about financial planning, what adjustments or what updates you need to make to your will or your estate plan. So this is a great time for us to be talking about it and taking your questions and hopefully helping you along this journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times, as you had stated earlier on in the intro, is people believe that it's only for the wealthy. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that individuals can make, Christina. Individuals want the desire of their estates to go to their loved ones. And you've got to take and make that plan. You asked that question a moment ago, do you have a plan? And if you truly want what you have and what you worked hard for your whole life to go to your loved ones, you need to sit down and put that plan together.
You know, we talk about, some think that it may only be for the wealthy, but there are wealthy people out there who who pass away without having an estate plan or a will in place. And we know some of these big names. I believe James Gandolfini. I believe Michael Jackson.
Sopranos?
Yeah.
Sopranos?
So these are people who, just like you, they have an opportunity to take the time to get these documents in order, to get them in place. We want to make sure that you do that so that your loved ones are covered. Sean, less people are creating wills and estate plans. We just talked about that. Significantly less in 2024. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just looked at a recent study about studying, every year we look at, what Caring.com wills, how many people are really getting them done, and there was a 6% decline, and so only 32% of Americans have a will and estate plan. So we want to kind of look at that a little bit and figure out why is that happening, because this is the first decline since the pandemic. And so, and here's some things that we have found during the study that kind of leads to that. And as estate planning rates dropped to pre-pandemic levels was really important. We're like, what's that about? And do people just feel things are better now, health-wise? Less than 2 or 3 U.S. adults have a will, so that's that 32% that I mentioned a little bit earlier. And here's the big one: 4 out of 10 say they don't need a will because they are too poor. All right.
Wow.
So we want to kind of squash that myth really quickly. And then the last one is 1 out of 4 waits for a health crisis to create a will. So, folks, that's a little too late, because the bottom line is whether you have a little or a lot, you'll need a will. And if you wait till there's a health condition, that's when you need a living will or someone to make those decisions for you if you become incapacitated.
Oh.
And then it's too late.
It's way too late. Yeah. You want to make those health decisions and have those directives in place instead of someone doing that for you.
And these are questions that you might have. For instance, what is power of attorney? How do I go about getting power of attorney or thinking about that, learning more about it? These are questions you can ask directly and get an answer tonight. We have an expert for you, and this is a very rare occasion. Michael, my question is, why do people put off creating a will, which is actually pretty easy to create?
Well, procrastination tends to be a natural instinct of individuals. And so a lot of times people believe that these bad things that happen in life are really only going to happen to other individuals because it's never going to happen to me. And the reality is, last time I checked, none of us get out of this world alive. And so you need to make sure that you have the plans in place, because either you sit down and draw out your plans, or the state will make the determination on what your assets and whom those are going to go to. So you really want to be able to sit down, draw that out, make sure your loved ones are in receipt of it, and minimize the amount of taxation that can come from transferring those assets as well. So it's important to spend that time to really put your plan and your wishes in place.
Yeah, you worked hard for those assets. That's your hard-earned money. You can't take it with you, unfortunately, but you can make wise decisions to make sure it goes exactly where you want it to.
Sure. And if people are worried that it's going to cost too much money to put those in place, there's a lot of, you can go online and download several just simple wills, or spend $100 or less and do that. So depends how expensive you want to go, but there's also cheaper options. So if that's a hindrance to you, folks, there's help along the way for some free resources and some free legal days that many attorneys in the states provide that can do that for you as well.
Absolutely.
Pro bono. Okay, Stay with us. We have so much to cover tonight, and your conversations drive this show. We want to hear from you. Maybe you have a story to share. Maybe you have a loved one who passed away without having an estate plan in place. Let us know what happened so that we can prepare those of us who are listening tonight. We're all in this together. We're going to pause for a quick break, but when we come back, we also have carry-all totes to give away to 5 lucky callers who join our conversation tonight. It's an easy conversation to join, a table of friends. Do you have an estate plan or will? If not, why? If you do, what motivated you? Give us a call, 877-283-7570. We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP right after this.
Here are 6 items you should consider including in your estate plan. A will. This is the main component of your estate plan and ensures your property is distributed according to your wishes. Durable power of attorney. This person will act on your behalf when you are unable to do so. Beneficiary designation. You want to decide your beneficiaries. If you don't, a judge might make that choice for you. Letter of intent. It's a document left to your executor or a beneficiary, and it defines what you want done with a particular asset after your death or incapacitation. Healthcare power of attorney? This will designate another individual to make important healthcare decisions on your behalf. Guardianship designations. If you have small children, you want to make sure you decide who will care for them if you no longer can. For more financial information, go to aarp.org/money.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Our show tonight, how to keep the family farm in the family, estate planning and wills. How much do you know about tonight's topic? Do you have a will or an estate plan in place? If you do, what motivated you? If you don't, why haven't you done so yet? Or maybe you have a story to share about your own estate planning problems or successes. We want to hear from you tonight, and you may just be a winner. AARP is giving away 5 totes live on the show tonight to 5 random callers. And gentlemen, this is a really high quality tote. I want to give you an opportunity to see it on your side. Wow. But I mean,
I think you put a dog or put a baby in there and carry that around.
And folks, it's sturdy enough.
It's multi-purpose. Get one, call.
This may be leaving this side tonight.
Maybe,
I like that.
Maybe we should leave it right here.
See, it's very high quality. All you got to do is join our conversation, and you could be a winner tonight. AARP even covers the shipping for you.
Sure is pretty.
It really is. It really is nice. I mean, you might be thinking about a gift or someone who would like that as well. Probably a good item to have. 877 on your property. 877-283-7570.
Belated Valentine's
That's
present.
right. Belated Valentine's. There's so many things that you can do with this tote. And we want you to have one. So please give us a call and join our conversation. And AARP has a new giveaway as well. You could also be a winner if you use AARP's Second Chance Sweepstakes option, aarp.org/AARP Live. Visit that website or go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen to enter, and one tote will be given away each month. Winner announced during next month's program, and we're going to announce last month's winner a little bit later on, so that still could be you. We'll find out. Joining us once again, AARP Oklahoma State Director Sean Voskuhl, and our special guest tonight, certified financial planner Michael Wallen is back with us. And this is a popular topic of our viewers. We always get a lot of calls, when Sean and Michael team up and join us. We all should have a will. We know that. Many of us are not sure what that actually means, though, what's to go in it. If you're still accruing wealth, maybe you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, when is the right time to do it? And what makes up a good estate plan?
Well, one of the things that, is with an estate plan is designating who you want your items to go to, your estate, whatever you've accumulated, and making sure that your wishes are going to them, where the state doesn't have to step in and dictate how it's being distributed. That comes with family conversations. Oftentimes, sitting down and having a discussion about an individual's demise is very important. And that way it's an open discussion, and then find out, what's important to you? What would you like for me to leave to you? Having that open discussion oftentimes eliminates frustration or sibling rivalry. We've talked about that oftentimes on the show.
And that might be something that you've done. We'd love to hear about that tonight. 877-283-7570. Have you had family conversations like that? We're going to go to the phones right now. First up is Kathy of Texas. Thanks for joining us tonight, Kathy. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I was just calling my husband and I. I'm 65, he's 70, and we bought some property, just 20 acres. And then we're going to build a house there. We have no children, and we each have a 401k. So we're just trying to figure out what we do initially, because we unfortunately have not made any decisions yet. But for starters, if one of us were to go first, how do we go about doing that? The other one getting the property. Is there any penalties that? Or do we need a will right away if one of us was to go? And then how do we decide if there's a will or a trust, or how we handle it when we both die?
Well, it's a great question, and you brought up two separate types of assets. One is with a 401k, and hopefully that you've got designated beneficiaries on that 401k plan. And I think it's important to understand there is a difference between contract law and state law. Contract law supersedes state law. So with the contract, you have a beneficiary, then that's going to transfer to that loved one without having to go through probate. With your property, in most states, that property is going to transfer over to the spouse through continuation. Now, there are some community property states out there that if property was brought into a marriage, that there could be some estate planning, and you may want to sit down with an attorney and look at a trust so that that property can stay in the family without any type of taxable event. But at this stage, if you've bought the property together, it's going to be left to that surviving spouse.
Okay. And then something else to consider, if you are not married, you have to make sure that you designate where your assets go. Is that correct?
Family member or university, maybe you want to donate to, or church?
Charity. If you're charitably inclined, you can leave assets, or highly appreciated assets can be left to a charity in a tax-favored scenario. But if it's a family member, if it's a loved one, whom do you want it to go to? Again, it's sitting down and really having that plan, but also make sure it's not a loved one that may have special needs or would have possible state benefits in the future, because you could cause that individual that may have a special needs clause a real problem by them inheriting assets.
Yeah.
Kick them out of those programs.
It's really important to do your homework. And if you have questions tonight, this is a great opportunity to get them answered live. You don't have to wait for an answer. You don't have to wait for an operator. We're going to get you on the air tonight. 877-283-7570. Nicole joins us now from Wyoming, and she is our first winner tonight.
Right.
Congratulations.
That's a big old bag.
Oh, there we go.
Go right ahead.
Hi.
Hey.
So we're young farmers, and we have 2 young children, and we have not set up anything yet, but we do have a lot of assets, and we don't want to lose them. If we both pass away, we want our kids to have it. So I don't know who we would leave that all to. And
have you created an LLC for the farm?
Yes.
That's great. And then has the trust maybe assumed ownership of your LLC and named
We don't have a trust. It's just a LLC.
That may be the second thing you would want to do, Michael, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that you look at is the way that you lose a farm would be through death. It could be dismemberment. It could be disease or divorce. And so part of it is making sure you have that trust in place that protects you against those 4 Ds. And that will help you not only today, but as a transition. You said y'all are young farmers today. As you age, and you may want to turn a part of that property over, the farming business over to your children, as you stated. Well, you want to make sure you have that farm in a trust so that it can be protected, because God be willing, it doesn't happen. But if you had a situation that a child goes through a divorce, you don't want to expose that farm as a part of the assets for spin down, or, as a part of settling that estate.
And I think the LLCs are really important, because your farm is a business.
Yes.
You want to protect yourself from any liability or creditor, or really someone suing you personally. And so by having an LLC gives you some additional protections. And I really recommend folks to get one.
Absolutely.
Good. It seems like there's a lot of psychology actually involved in financial planning, which is really interesting to me, something I've learned from you. And everybody's situation is different. We're going to go back to the phones where Reed joins us now from Kentucky. Thanks for joining us, Reed. Go right ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
I'm a 76-year-old man, and I have 2 sons. One is handicapped, is nonverbal, and I'm in the process of establishing a trust for him. And my other son is involved in the farm with me. We own 375 acres and rent some other farms around too, raising livestock, cattle, sheep, and crops. We did form an LLC, and I'm wondering is this the best what is the best way for me to go? Is this the best way? And what else should I do to ensure to minimize tax for my survivor, for my son, and make certain that it will be minimized?
On the federal state tax part, that's going to be up for reauthorization if Congress doesn't move by, I think, January 1st of 2026. So, and then if they do not put that back in place, it would revert back to 2017 levels, and that would mean as an individual, it would be a $7 million threshold as an individual, and I think $14 million as a household. So if your assets are under that, you should be fine with averting or not paying those death taxes, estate taxes.
The one thing I think consideration, you mentioned you have a son that is special needs. I would make sure that you had a provision in there that the farm is carving off or splitting off a portion of revenue that's going to be able to be there to meet their needs, but not having it in their name, because we don't want a situation where you end up disqualifying them from their state benefits. It takes a long time to be able to get those benefits in place, and you don't want a situation with distribution of assets to come in and take those away. So, but it also and I commend you, Reed, because you're having this discussion now, but making sure that you have provisions in place that the son that is maintaining the farm understands how much is going to be going in to take care of the sibling there, and making sure that all of your wishes are laid out in that trust document.
Would that be a special needs trust, perhaps, for his son who's disabled? Would be a wise
that needs to be established now. The special needs trust needs to be in place. So you're really looking at two separate trusts.
Okay. I think that's going to be a general question. How can an individual minimize estate taxes while ensuring their beneficiaries get the max inheritance? And it's always going to be case by case.
We call it the death tax. We want to pass that family farm to our loved ones. And that's true. And that's why Congress needs to move. But if you've got less than $7 million, you're probably in good shape.
Okay, excellent. All right, that leaves a line open for you, 877-283-7570. Remember, you're not just adding to this amazing conversation, this important conversation that we're having tonight. You could be a winner, and I just want to show you how nice the giveaway is. This is a high-quality tote. You can keep items cool for long periods of time. And our next caller from Kansas, Barbara, joins us. Congratulations, Barbara. You're a winner. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you.
Barbara, where are you from in Kansas?
A little town called Wilson.
Wilson? I think where that is.
What's on your mind tonight? What kind of question do you have for our experts?
What I was wondering, I'm going to be 79. My husband is 75. How often should we update the will?
That's a
great question. I would suggest that you update it as things change, but at least annually. Sit down, look at your will, make sure that the beneficiaries of your will are still the ones whom you want to receive. Make sure that there's no provisions. Make sure your will also has clauses in there that is a residual clause. A lot of times you pick up additional assets over a year, and you want to make sure that your will has a residual clause just in case those items are not named, and you don't want that portion to have to go through probate.
Great idea.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that call.
Maybe
Congratulations.
Farm equipment or cattle, and make sure it's all covered.
Absolutely.
Because that's on every wish list.
Let me just say, those Angus bulls are getting really expensive right now. I'm glad the prices are up. But
hey, the herd is shrinking. Demand hasn't changed. That's what's going to happen. Watch next year. Paul from Ohio joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Paul. Go right ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm from Ohio, and I had a heart attack 4 years ago, and I decided I better go get a will taken care of after that, which should have been done earlier. And my attorney wanted me to get a quote on a funeral arrangement. I thought, what the heck? Well, I went and did it. After I got the quote, I sat there. I thought, I'll just pay for it. And I got home and called one of my 3 children, and before I could call the other 2, they called me, and they were so happy that Dad took care of that because they live all out of state, and they were really happy that it's all done, taken care of.
Paul, that's a great testimony. I wish, and I hope that all listeners convey what you just shared and that they'll take action on that, because it's so important to go out there and take care of those final expenses and take care of making sure your wishes are in place. And I'm sure the experience that their loved ones would have would be very similar to what your loved ones have experienced.
What a great story to tell. And you think about it as well, your kids, you're losing a primary family member, a mother or a father. Sure. The last thing you want to have to do is make those sorts of decisions when you're going through a loss like that. So it's a beautiful thing that you did for your children in more ways than you may be aware of. All right, we're going to go back to the phones where Margaret joins us from Oklahoma.
All right.
That's right. Margaret, thanks for joining us. Go right ahead.
Good evening. We have been, are you on?
Yes, you're on.
Yeah.
You're on, and I've been told you're a winner.
I was going to say, if she's from Oklahoma, she's already a winner. If she's from Oklahoma, she's already a winner. She's a double winner tonight.
You are a winner, so congratulations. Yay. Go right ahead.
Okay. We have been advised to, rather than do a trust for our land and our assets, to designate transfer upon death.
Well, that, Margaret, is that's a one-dimensional approach. Yeah. That is only protecting you in the event of a death, that those items are going to be transferring. And again, like I had said at the top of the segment, that is contract law versus state law. And yes, transfer on deaths are very important, but it goes way beyond that. When you're looking at a trust, you're looking at protection against disease, you're protecting against divorce, you're protecting against other living events that occur. And so you may want to sit down and have a further discussion with a competent attorney in your area and have them share with you some of the situations that they've had experience with other farmers in your area, and find out if any of those types of risk you want to protect against. And I do believe that you'll find that a trust document would be more protective of your total estate than a transfer on death.
And you know, payment on death, I think of that more of your checking accounts.
TOD, PODs.
I think you're right. You've got to look beyond just those paying those bills out of an account.
Absolutely. Now, one thing she didn't mention, I'm assuming she's talking about a farm there. Now, if she's talking about a banking product, then what she's being given advice on very well could be the right approach, which could be a transfer on death or a pay on death. So I guess we needed a little bit more clarity on that. But congratulations on being a winner.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to debt, electronic debt? How do we deal with that when it comes to formulating an estate plan?
Well, I'm going to throw something out there, folks. I really think you need to assign someone in your will, your trust, who's that digital asset executor, whether it's a trustee, because you're right, your accounts are all online. We talked earlier, utility bills, how we pay utility bills if someone dies. If you're into cryptocurrency or those kinds of things, those are digital assets. Your social media accounts are digital assets. All of our accounts you're getting from your email, those documents you have, maybe farm documents, that's a PDF. Those are all digital assets. So that's becoming more important all the time, someone that you can dedicate to take care of those assets for you. And if you look on the screen, including those in your state documents are so important. I'm sorry, I started going on a roll. So you want to make sure you back up your data frequently and use external drives as backup. That's really important. And making sure you have someone that can be that person, the executor, to do that. And so when you share that location of your list of online accounts and passwords, make sure that's spelled out really, really well in your estate plan.
Okay, excellent.
One thing that I would share with you on that is we have we have a situation where one of the cryptocurrency early investors, he was a computer programmer, lost his password. His cryptocurrency would be worth millions of dollars from what he bought it. But the thing is, he cannot get into his vault because he no longer has his own password. And this is a guy that deals with computers every day. So I can only imagine the general population of how that would be. We just don't deal with it every day. And so how important it is to get those digital assets written down in a place so you don't lose them, because it's millions of dollars that could be lost.
And we talk a lot on this show about frauds and scams, and be careful who you share your passwords and online accounts with. But you've got to find that trusted person to be that executor, that trustee, to handle these digital assets. It's just critical.
Okay. On that same vein, there's a lot of people that are in debt. We were seeing it on the headlines of business news all the time. What happens to that credit card debt specifically after we die? Say you're married.
Well, if you're married, the debt's going to stay with the estate. So your spouse is going to absorb that debt. And you've already lost a revenue source. So you're layering in the burden to your loved one that is surviving you, because they're going to have to take limited resources to pay off debt. And that can be critical. You could have an event where individuals lose their home. It may change the way that you're planning the education for your children. It could be to the point of whether or not you have disposable income at the end of the month to be able to make just the natural provisions of food and utilities and clothing, those basic needs we have. Debt management is very important. Now, if you die and you no longer have a spouse and you don't have an estate, then it's a non-collateralized debt instrument. And so many times, unfortunately, the companies just absorb that, but they raise interest rates, to be able to offset those expenses. But
justify them.
But you really need to understand your debt and how you're spending your money, because you don't want to leave that debt obligation to your surviving spouse or loved ones.
No, it's important that we know that we recognize that as well. I think that I was under the impression that once you pass away, whether you're married or not, that debt goes away. The credit card debt goes away. Interesting. Okay, we're going back to Oklahoma.
Thank goodness.
Donald's joining us now.
You're the reason God made Oklahoma.
Donald, thank you for joining us. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes. I'd like to know how I get started on getting the will fixed up, and who I need to talk to besides maybe a lawyer. And I'm 63, and I live by myself. I'm single, and I don't have no kids, and I've never been married. And all I have is just 3 nieces and nephews, great nephews and great nieces right now. But they're kind of got their own lives living. I don't see them very as much as I used to.
Yeah. And
I just got a housekeeper comes in twice a week and does things for me with those. And all I'm living on is SSI, and DHS only left. We have so much in the bank account, and so much, and I got old royalties stuff. I got every so often. I got cousins in Texas. Got involved in it too. My nieces and everything. And I just want to find out who I get a hold of to start this stuff.
Donald,
my mother passed away.
Yeah, I think a good start. ARP has a really great guide to use, Ultimate Guide to Estate Planning. You probably want to use that booklet there to kind of just write out all of your assets that you have, and then figure out where you wanted to go. You said you had a lot of nieces and nephews. You want to be clear about that. So it may be best just to kind of get that inventory, what you have, and think about where you want your assets to go to. And Michael, there's some legal service developers out there, people you can call to get references. I know ARP has a list of attorneys you can reach out to that may be good in the estate planning area. It's online, and it's arp.org/ARP Live. So those are some resources. And maybe if you have some friends at church, maybe ask them who's a good attorney, and be upfront. How much is this going to cost? And I think that's maybe a good way to start. But Michael, I know you deal with it all the time.
Yeah, feel free, Donald, if you wanted to have a discussion preliminary. It's at no expense, but you're welcome to call our office. Yeah. We'll be happy to have a preliminary discussion with you and kind of put you on the map of what direction is best for you. As Shauna discussed, you want to get one of the guides and you want to start populating that document, and that'll help you understand what assets you have, whom you want it to go to, and we're more than happy at our office to walk you through that process and just make sure that you're on the right path to get to the solution that works best for you and your family.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that call. That leaves a line open for you tonight, 877-283-7570. You could still be a winner, and thank you for the great calls. Please keep those coming. We're going to North Carolina, where Nancy joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Nancy. Go right ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for taking my call. I have a will, and I'm having it divided between two of my granddaughters. But I have personal things that I would like to give to each one that I just don't want them just to decide or somebody else to decide. And it's not in the will, so how do I handle that?
Give it to them now.
Yeah. One of the things that I talked to a client about that was in the office this last week is take masking tape and put it on the back of those items and write the name of the loved one that you want it to go to. And when they, upon your passing, and they come in, they start looking through the estate, it will already be identified whom you want those items to go to. Because a will, sometimes if you get too detailed in those and you no longer have those assets, i.e., let's say you had a 1957 Chevy, and then you sold it and you bought a 1960 Chevy. Well, if you're very specific in the will to that item, oftentimes individuals assume, well, I traded it for this other vehicle, and so that vehicle will go to that loved one. If it is very specific to what that item was, it will not go to that loved one. And so then that would become a probatable item. So you want to make sure that, make it a little bit more general, automobile, or, something that may be a little bit higher up, because if you get too specific and you get rid of it, then you may be disinheriting a loved one.
Wow. That you have to be that precise with the language, which is why a certified financial planner is key.
Meet with a competent attorney. They will properly draw those items up for you. A lot of times people feel that I'll just go it myself. I'll just do this document. Well, the cost of a will or a trust is nominal compared to the knowledge that they're going to bring to the table and what they're going to be able to do for you. Don't think of it as an ongoing annual expense. Just meet with a good, competent attorney, somebody that's trained in this, and let them guide you in this process.
It sounds like she knows what those items are already. So just document those.
Make
sure you have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great guidance we're getting tonight. We're going to pause for a quick break. We still have a cooler to give away, though. It's actually very nice, high-quality tote. Could be yours, and it will keep your beverages, your food. If you want to go on a picnic, it'll keep it cold. High-quality AARP covers the shipping. We have one more to give away on the show. You could still get in on the second chance giveaway. We're going to come right back with more of your questions. Rural America Live with AARP continues. The number again is 877-283-7570. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back. We want to hear from you. Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. We still have a cooler to give away, and it could be yours. We're going to go to the phones in just a moment, as promised. But before we do, I want to announce our second chance winner for the month of January. Drum roll, please. Stuart H. from Kentucky, congratulations to you. We really appreciate the fact that you provided your information when you scanned the code. Your tote is probably already on the way. That's how good AARP is. And they cover the shipping. We still have one more to give away. It could be yours. Give us a call, and we might just take that call on the air in just a few moments. But before we do, something, Michael, that we will all need to be taking a little bit extra notice of, especially in the coming days, the next 90 days. This Corporate Transparency Act. How is that going to impact the individual?
Well, you know, in the last segment, we talked about the importance of dealing with an attorney. Well, this is going to give a little love out there to the CPAs. The Corporate Transparency Act of 2023 is in full force. It comes as an extension of the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2020. And what this is for entities that are in LLCs, Sean, you mentioned that earlier, or in trust. You're going to have to go in and, if you've created one of those entities this year, you have 90 days to go in to FinCEN.com, which is the federal website, and disclose all of your financial information about that entity. If it was an LLC or a trust that was created prior to 2024, then you have until the end of 2024 to go in to do that. So one of the ways to make sure that you are staying in line with the new regulations is meet with your CPA. Make sure that as they're filing your tax return for that LLC or for that trust document, that they identify that the financials and that they go into the FinCEN website, put that information in, because if not, it could be a $10,000 fine or imprisonment.
Whoa.
This law is there to protect us against criminal behavior, as well as making sure that there is no anti-money laundering that is going on by the use of one of those entities. And it's a federal regulation that is now in place. So a lot of individuals may not be aware of it. Reach out to your professionals that you deal with and make sure that you're on top of that this year. This is the first year, and don't want to see anybody be hit with a $10,000 fine or imprisonment.
Well, I just see some potential scams too. Maybe preying on people, you know, don't get fined by $10,000 and maybe setting up these fake accounts.
Good point,
We'll do
Sean.
it for you for, you know, $500 or $1,000.
So
be careful of those phone scams.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
CPA and your attorney, talk to them about that. Yep.
This time we're going to Texas, where Michael joins us. Thanks for joining us, Michael. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I want to compliment you all on a great show on the best television station around. So my question is, what specific document is available? For example, I have 3 children, and I know one of them would sell the farm in a heartbeat once I'm gone. So is it a trust, a type of trust that I need to look at that would preserve that so the other 2 kids aren't put in a bind? Does that make sense?
It would. A trust is going to dictate what your wishes are. Yeah. And so as you're looking at structuring it, you know, then you can determine what kind of compensation that individual, the loved one that you have that doesn't necessarily want to be a farmer, how do you want to have that structured? Do you want to see them have ongoing revenue in perpetuity from the farm? How do you want to have that set up? Do you want it to be a situation where there's a debt instrument taken out by the other 2 siblings to pay off the loved one now? All of those are things that sitting down with a good, competent attorney can help guide you through that. Or if you have a certified financial planner that is in your area that you work with, these are the types of family conversations that are pertinent to make sure that all wishes are understood and that you don't leave a burden or sibling rivalry down the road because one feels that they were slighted, the other one was able to get more benefit. It's real important to have these meaningful conversations.
And there may be some other assets like a home that they could, you know, where it could be fair, more equitable. You know, so that the farm doesn't go just to that sibling. You know, I think you could trade around. So you're definitely right having those conversations and making sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, well, it's family discussions that have to happen. You know what? The hardest discussions lead to truth. They lead to some of the best outcomes. So.
Why would you want to sell the farm?
Well, you know, one of the things that when I have clients that come and sit at the table as beneficiaries and they sit there and say, well, mom and dad would have. Let's eliminate the would-haves, could-haves, and should-haves. Yeah. Let's have the conversation and say, Mom and Dad said this. This is what they wanted to have happen. Eliminate those would-have, should-have, could-haves. Yeah. Because that only causes frustration.
Yeah. I guess parents don't have to be fair.
You don't.
No, you can identify who you love most.
Life's
Mom
not
and
fair.
Dad, you didn't hear that, did you? I love you.
Well, now he's going to have a harder time because Michael was a winner. You're going to have to figure out who you're going to leave your new high-quality tote to, sir. Congratulations, and thank you so much for that call. We are getting amazing calls tonight, and we have another winner, this time from Nebraska, where Lynn is joining us now. Thanks for joining us, Lynn. Congratulations to you. Go right ahead.
Oh, well, thank you. As I heard someone else say, we enjoy RFD a lot, so thank you. My question is in regard to trusts. Is there kind of a minimum dollar value of assets that you should have before you incur the cost of setting up a trust and whatever costs go with that?
I think every individual sets that dollar amount themselves. How much of your assets do you want to protect? Is it if I had $20,000, I want that $20,000 to go to the loved ones that I want it to go to. I do not want to leave any of my assets to the state to dictate where those assets are to go to. I think it's very important that you establish legal documents that identify your wishes and identify your beneficiaries and on the terms of how you want it distributed. Often, Christina, we say that a trust actually allows you to have a voice from the grave because it is your last wishes. It is identified inside of it, and you have what's called a trustee in the trust to carry out your wishes. And so you have an individual that's living that's going to carry out those wishes, and it's very important that you go in there and you establish them and then you review them. Make sure that will or trust is updated, and with the trust you're going to have a trustee, and make sure it's somebody that's willing to carry those out and have those tough discussions with family members if they do have an issue with it.
Yeah, if there's a falling out down the line, you can change who the trustee is.
It happens often.
So just a little peace of mind. Thank you. That's such a great question. I think a lot of people are wondering about. Appreciate that, Lynn. Next, we're going to Missouri, where Larry joins us. Thanks for joining us, Larry. Go right ahead.
Here I am. I have a will set up. And then you keep hearing people talk about trusts and living wills and stuff. Is there a problem changing something or moving it from one to the other? Is there an advantage to moving it from one from the other?
Well, a will is a probatable item. And so what the will does is it lays out the language to probate your estate. So a trust actually goes outside of probate. And so it also has privacy. So if you're using a trust instrument, whatever you put into that trust is going to be distributed privately to those beneficiaries. If you're using a will, then it is going to go through the probate courts and it's going to become public record. And oftentimes, Christina and Sean, that's what my clients are coming in and they're wanting to have a discussion about is they don't want everything they've accumulated. They don't want it to be public record.
Right.
They don't want the neighbors to be able to go down the street and determine whom items went to. A trust allows a lot more privacy inside of it.
Have you seen situations where people have had a basic will but then added a trust onto that?
Yeah, well, oftentimes called springing powers.
There you go.
And so at the death, then the will is then created at that time. And then it would have the language in there of who the trust beneficiaries are. Right. If you're dealing with a qualified plan, we talked about a 401k, an IRA, oftentimes you're going to want to make sure that you have multiple beneficiaries. So you have springing powers inside of that so that each of those beneficiaries actually has their own trust because you don't want the distribution based upon the eldest age.
Okay.
Wow. We have been getting a lot of great questions tonight. We're unfortunately going to close the phone, but I thank everybody for great calls. We still have a few moments left. Michael, based on everything that you heard tonight, are there any general questions that were left out that you feel like we need to cover before the show comes to a close?
Well, the one thing that I would say that from all the callers is taking action. And that's really the most important thing today is you have an estate. You want to make sure that what you have is going to those loved ones that you want it to go to. So take action. In our household, we have a rule that if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So I encourage all the listeners, make a designated time on your calendar that you're going to spend putting together your thoughts, your wishes, your desires, and then make another entry in your calendar of when you're going to visit with those seasoned professionals, your certified financial planner, your attorney, your CPA. Make sure you go and you sit down and have a conversation with them. And then the third piece of it is now invite your loved ones to the table. And oftentimes, as a CFP, what we do is family meetings. And so we will help conduct that meeting. And so the loved ones, the children are coming in and the parents are there, and we help facilitate those conversations. And so find that advocate in your area, whether it's one of the seasoned professionals, but get your legal documents in place, keep the farm in your name, keep those closely held assets close to you, and make sure that you eliminate any of the sibling rivalry in the future.
Great idea, because that could be a relationship that is unmendable after that point between siblings. Really important, key information. You did offer our viewer the opportunity to give you a call. Can we give that number out?
Sure. Our number at the office is 615-850-6710.
Okay. All right. And final thoughts.
Yeah. Well, Michael's great. It's always good to partner with him on these kinds of conversations. You know, and we talked a lot about estate planning tonight, but it's also time to file taxes.
Yes.
So just want to let folks know, if you're not aware, in your state, AARP has a tax aid program, and that's open and running until April 15th, and they can assist you at no cost if you're 55 years of age or older. May not be real complicated, real tough if you got a lot of assets and income to report, but we do have that service available at no cost to you and your state. You can go to arp.org/taxaid and find out if there's a site close to your community.
It's wonderful.
And when it comes to estate planning, there's an amazing tool on the aarp.org/AARP live website. Talk about that estate planning.
You know, and that's what's real important. We talk a lot about what are those first steps, and we have some free guides to folks if they want to go and download those 2 items. We'll send them to you for free. It's really listing all of the information you need. It's the ultimate guide to estate planning. So it'll be a lesson book. It'll be a book for recording all your assets. So it's free. So please go online and get that, and we'll send it to you as well.
And it's a great wealth of other resources as well. Again, that's aarp.org/AARP live. About 30 seconds for your final thoughts for us tonight.
Take action. Get the documents in place. If you're a winner, make sure you get that tote, and I think you'll want to keep it. You're not going to want to be giving that away. Put that in that trust.
I understand. Get it in the trust. One day you'll want to pass it on. I want to thank you, the viewers at home, so much for spending some time with us. It really is a conversation. Now it's happening on live television with your questions driving the show, but that's how we do it. And we do this every single month, every third Thursday of the month. Put that on your calendar. You can join us for some great information, and it's usually information that'll save you money and time down the road. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you March 21st. Have a beautifully blessed evening.